The rain poured down, heavy and merciless, soaking me from head to toe. I stood on the porch of the house I had helped pay for, clutching 2 gift bags that had turned into a soggy mess. 3 hours had passed, yet the door never opened for me. Inside I could hear the laughter of guests, the clinking of glasses, and the voice of my daughter-in-law, Vanessa. She was hosting a dinner party, and I was left outside like an unwanted stranger. My name is Edith Palmer. I am 70 years old, a widow, and the mother of 1 son, Michael. For decades I worked with my hands and my back cleaning homes, baking pastries, and taking any job I could find to raise him alone after my husband passed away. Every dollar I earned went into giving him a better life. Even now, when he has his own family, I am the one paying their mortgage, covering the tuition for my grandson Ethan's private school, and transferring money every month so they can live comfortably. I never complained, not once, because they were my family, my reason for living. That Friday night was supposed to be different. Michael had called me with a warm voice that made my heart melt. "Mom, come over tonight. We really want to see you." It had been 3 long months since I last hugged Ethan. I spent the whole day preparing. I wore my maroon dress, the one that still made me feel elegant despite my wrinkles. I clasped my mother's old pearls around my neck, sprayed the French perfume I had saved for special occasions, and bought Ethan the transformer robot he had asked for. For Vanessa, I even picked up her favorite macarons from the French bakery downtown. I arrived at exactly 6 o'clock, filled with joy. But instead of a welcome, I was met with rejection. Vanessa's voice cut through the door, sharp as a knife. "Let her wait outside. We are having dinner." At that moment, drenched in the storm, I realized something painful. To them, I was not family. I was just an inconvenience. From the outside, my life might have looked ordinary, but every wrinkle on my face held the story of sacrifice. I had been on my own since my husband passed away when Michael was only a teenager. There were no safety nets, no large inheritance, only my 2 hands and an iron will to make sure my son would never lack the things I once did. I worked tirelessly. In the mornings, I scrubbed floors in other people's houses. In the afternoons, I baked pies and cookies to sell at the local market. At night, when most people rested, I picked up shifts at a small laundromat. My body was often sore, my eyes heavy with exhaustion, but when I saw Michael studying at the kitchen table, I told myself it was worth it. Every extra shift, every blister on my hands, it was all so he could have opportunities I never dreamed of. Years passed, and Michael grew into a man with a college degree, a family, and a home of his own. But the truth was, none of it would have been possible without the silent support I kept providing. That suburban house he lived in with Vanessa and Ethan carried my name as a co-signer on the mortgage. The monthly bills that arrived in their mailbox were often covered by transfers from my pension. Even Ethan's private school tuition, the pride of Vanessa when she boasted to her friends, was paid mostly by me. Still, I never questioned it. I told myself this was what family did: support one another, lift each other up. I had given Michael life, and I wanted to give him comfort too. I told myself Vanessa would see my efforts and be grateful. But gratitude never came. Instead, my generosity had turned into something invisible, something expected. And slowly, I was no longer a blessing in their eyes. I was a burden. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. I still remember the warmth in Michael's voice when he said, "Mom, come over tomorrow evening. We really want to see you." It had been months since I had seen my grandson Ethan, and the thought of spending an evening with him filled me with joy. I could already picture his little smile when I handed him the toy he had been asking for. All day Friday, I moved with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. I took out my maroon dress from the closet, smoothing the fabric as if it were silk. That dress always made me feel a little younger, a little braver. Around my neck, I placed my mother's pearls, the ones she had worn only on special Sundays. I even dabbed the last drops of French perfume I had saved for years. I wanted to look my very best because this wasn't just a dinner. This was family. I stopped at the toy store downtown and bought the transformer robot Ethan had mentioned the last time I saw him. The box was bright and colorful, promising hours of joy. For Vanessa, I bought a box of pastel macarons from the French bakery. She loved them, and though our relationship was never close, I thought maybe this small gesture would remind her that I cared. By the time I stepped onto the number 43 bus, the sun was setting. I watched the city blur past the window, imagining Ethan running into my arms. I even rehearsed what I would say when I saw him. "Grandma missed you so much." I arrived at their neighborhood just before 6, proud of the house my hard work had helped them keep. With gifts in my hands and love in my heart, I walked up the steps and rang the bell, expecting a warm welcome. Instead, my nightmare began. The door opened after a short pause, and there stood Vanessa. She wore a sleek black dress I had once bought her for her birthday, but her smile was tight, almost forced. "Oh, Edith," she said softly, glancing over her shoulder. "You came, but tonight isn't really a good time." Confused, I lifted the bags in my hands. Michael invited me. He said 6 o'clock. Yes, well, some of my friends dropped by unexpectedly. It's just complicated. Why don't you wait here a moment while I talk to him? Without another word, she closed the door in my face. I stood there, stunned. From inside, laughter floated through the walls, mingling with the sound of clinking glasses and the rich aroma of roast beef. I told myself it would just be a few minutes. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I rang the bell again. This time Michael appeared, his expression nervous. "Mom, what are you still doing out here?" "You told me to come for dinner, son. Here I am." He shifted uncomfortably, glancing behind him. "Look, Mom, Vanessa's friends are here, and we don't have enough food. How about we reschedule for tomorrow?" My heart sank. "But Michael, I brought gifts for Ethan. I came all this way." "I know, Mom, I know, but it's complicated." His voice was low, apologetic yet firm. Then I heard Vanessa's voice behind him, smooth and cold. "Yes, Edith. It really was a misunderstanding. Another night would be better. We'll give you the attention you deserve then." The words stung. Attention I deserved, as though I were a guest to be managed rather than a mother to be cherished. And then the moment that broke me completely. Ethan's small voice drifted from the dining room. "Who is it, Daddy?" Michael hesitated, then said the words that cut through me like a blade. "No one important, son. Keep eating." No one important. His mother, his grandmother, the woman who had sacrificed everything so he could stand where he stood. My knees trembled as the truth settled into my chest. To them, I was not a blessing. I was not even family, I was simply no one important. The drizzle that had started when I first arrived turned into a relentless downpour. Water ran down my face, soaking my carefully chosen dress until it clung to me like a second skin. My shoes filled with water, squishing with every small shift of my feet. Still I stood there, refusing to move, hoping against hope that Michael would open the door and change his mind. Minutes bled into hours. Through the lace curtains I had once gifted them, I saw glimpses of the dinner table. Crystal glasses shimmered under the chandelier, plates filled with food I could smell but not taste. Vanessa laughed with her friends, her wine glass raised, while Michael nodded along, trapped between his wife's world and his mother's sacrifice. And Ethan, my sweet Ethan, sat quietly in his chair, unaware that his grandmother was shivering just outside the door. At one point, our eyes met through the window. For a brief moment, I thought he might run to me. But instead, he turned back to his plate, perhaps too young, perhaps too afraid to do otherwise. That tiny flicker of hope extinguished, leaving only silence in its wake. 3 hours passed, 180 minutes of cold rain, of humiliation, of feeling invisible. My arms trembled as I clutched the ruined gift bags. The robot for Ethan was soggy, the macarons a mushy mess. Everything I had prepared with love was now destroyed, just like the trust I had once carried in my heart. And then came the cruelest sight of all. Vanessa pulling the curtain aside, staring at me with a smile not of pity, but of satisfaction. She enjoyed seeing me like that. To her I was nothing more than an inconvenience she could mock. Something hardened inside me at that moment. I could not change their hearts, but I could change my own choices. With frozen fingers, I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and dialed the bank. "Good evening," I said, my voice steady despite the storm. "I need to freeze every account that carries my name." The next morning, my phone buzzed non-stop. I let it ring until the knocking at my door became impossible to ignore. When I opened it, Michael stood there pale and frantic, Vanessa just behind him with her arms crossed tightly. "Mom, what did you do?" Michael demanded. "The bank said the accounts are frozen. Our cards were declined. The mortgage, the bills, Ethan's tuition, it's all blocked." I looked at him calmly, something inside me steadier than it had been in years. "Yes, Michael. I froze them. Because I finally realized I'm not family to you anymore. I'm just a wallet. And a wallet can close." Vanessa stepped forward, her tone sharp. "This is ridiculous. You can't just pull something like this out of spite. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was when I tried to pay at the store this morning?" I held her gaze without flinching. "Vanessa, you left me standing in the rain like a stray dog. You smiled at my suffering, and now you are embarrassed because a cashier saw your card declined. That is nothing compared to the humiliation you handed me." Michael's voice softened, desperate now. "Mom, please, we need to work this out. Ethan's school bill is due today. We can't do this without you." I shook my head. "You'll have to learn, son. You'll have to live on your own resources." Vanessa scoffed. "You wouldn't survive without us, Edith. You need this family." For the first time in a long while, I smiled. "You're wrong. I don't need you. I need respect. And from now on, there will be rules. If you want me to even consider helping again, Vanessa, you will kneel and apologize. Not tomorrow, not later, right here. And my friend Gloria will be here to witness every word." Vanessa's eyes widened in disbelief. "Kneel? Are you serious? That's humiliating." I folded my arms. "As humiliating as standing 3 hours in the rain outside your door while you mocked me." "Yes, Vanessa, exactly that humiliating." Michael looked torn, glancing between us. "Vanessa, maybe it's best if—" "Don't you dare finish that sentence," she snapped. But when I turned to walk back inside, her pride collided with panic. "Wait," she whispered, her voice breaking. Slowly, she lowered herself to her knees on my front step. "Edith, I apologize for leaving you in the rain, for calling you manipulative, for saying you were no one important." Her cheeks burned red as she forced the words out. "And I apologize for treating you with disrespect in your own family." I nodded, satisfied but not softened. "Good. Now get up. That was only the first step. From this moment forward, there will be rules you will follow if you want my support." I laid them out one by one. Rule 1, I am no longer your personal bank. Rule 2, I will only contribute toward Ethan's basic needs: food, clothes, school. Extras are your responsibility. Rule 3, Vanessa, you have 30 days to find a job. If you don't, all financial support ends. Rule 4, no more luxuries, no restaurants, no designer clothes, no expensive trips. Rule 5, visits must be by genuine invitation, not out of obligation. Rule 6, when I am invited, I will be treated with respect. Rule 7, Vanessa, you will take a class on etiquette and respect for elders. Rule 8, you will open a savings account and deposit 10% of your income, no excuses. Rule 9, no new credit cards, learn to live within your means. Rule 10, one single act of disrespect, just one, and it's over forever. The silence afterward was heavy. Michael looked defeated, Vanessa pale and trembling. Gloria, standing nearby, nodded with pride. For the first time in years I had set the terms, and they had no choice but to agree. The days that followed were uneasy. Vanessa tried to act polite when I visited, but her resentment clung to every word. One afternoon she cornered me in the kitchen while Michael was at work. "You really think I'm going to scrub floors like you did?" she hissed. "I'm not lowering myself to that." I met her glare without flinching. "Work is not humiliation, Vanessa. Using people is." She turned away, muttering under her breath, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her. Her 30 days were slipping away faster than she realized. Meanwhile, Michael had grown quieter. Without the easy money, he began to notice how his wife truly behaved. One evening, he came to my apartment, shoulders heavy. "Mom," he whispered, "Vanessa told me she only married me because she thought I had security because of you." The word struck me, though I had long suspected. "And what did you say, Michael?" He lowered his head. I said nothing. I didn't know what to do. I placed a hand on his arm. "Son, now you see. Love built on money is no love at all." Vanessa, however, clung to her pride. She complained about how beneath her it was to apply for cashier jobs or waitress positions. She scrolled through online postings but never followed through. The deadline loomed, and with each passing day, the mask she wore slipped further. What she never understood was that this wasn't about work. It was about respect, responsibility, and proving that she valued the family she claimed to love. But as I watched her resist, I realized the truth. Vanessa wasn't fighting for the family. She was fighting for her comfort. And soon, Michael would have to choose which mattered more, his mother's dignity or his wife's pride. The 30th day arrived like a drumbeat. I expected one last attempt from Vanessa, but instead, Michael showed up at my apartment with Ethan by his side and a small suitcase in hand. His face carried both exhaustion and resolve. "Mom," he said quietly, "we're staying here for a while." I blinked in surprise. What happened? He sighed deeply. "I told Vanessa the truth, that things had to change, that we couldn't keep living off you. I said we should start fresh, live modestly, maybe even go to counseling. she laughed in my face. Said she didn't marry me to count pennies, and if the money wasn't coming back, she wanted a divorce. Ethan tugged at my sleeve, his little voice trembling. Grandma, does that mean Mommy doesn't love me anymore? I knelt to his level, brushing wet hair from his forehead. Sweetheart, your mommy loves you. But sometimes adults make choices that don't make sense to children. You're safe with me and your dad. That's what matters. His eyes softened and he hugged me tightly. I like it here. It always smells nice and you give long hugs. In that moment, the storm I had carried inside me began to ease. Michael had finally chosen not comfort, not pride, but truth. We set up Ethan's bed in the spare room, simple but cozy. That evening we ate a small dinner together, no fine china, no chandeliers, just soup and bread at my kitchen table. Yet somehow it felt warmer than any banquet I had seen through their window weeks before. For the first time in years, I felt hope stirring. It wasn't about punishing Vanessa anymore. It was about beginning again, building something honest, even if small. And for the first time, Michael seemed ready to do just that. Years have passed since that night in the rain, and the path my life took still amazes me. Michael eventually secured a stable job, one he earned through his own effort, not through my wallet. He moved into a modest apartment just 3 blocks from mine, and Ethan grew into a kind, respectful young man. We still share dinners twice a week, but now every invitation comes with genuine warmth, not obligation. As for Vanessa, she drifted away. Last I heard, she remarried and started over in another city. I carry no bitterness toward her. In a way, she taught me my greatest lesson, that self-respect cannot be bought or borrowed. It must be claimed. My story spread quietly at first. A neighbor told another, and soon I found myself speaking with other women who had endured the same silent abuse, the same financial chains disguised as family duty. Together we formed a group we call the Phoenix Circle. Every Saturday, a handful of women meet in my living room to share stories and find strength. Some have cut off financial manipulation from their children. Others have learned to say one small but powerful word: enough. I often look back on that night I stood outside in the rain, my maroon dress clinging to me, gifts ruined at my feet. It was the most painful moment of my life, yet it was also the night I was reborn. To anyone listening, I want to say this: self-love is not selfish, it is survival. If you are being used, if you are being disrespected, you have the right to stand tall and set boundaries. Age does not erase your dignity. And if Edith Palmer's story has touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs courage, and comment below where you're watching from. Together we can remind the world it is never too late to take back your power.